Okay, perfect. So guys, for today, I wanted to share with you guys something really important to me. So I've been teaching for the last 19 plus years. And in those 19 plus years, I've had a lot of teaching experience. I've been fortunate enough to teach in schools and universities and companies. But there's one experience that I wanted to share with you guys that I think has really touched me like the most, right? Now, to give you a little context, because I'm not sure if everyone knows the place that I'm going to talk about, I wanted to share with you guys first this. So in Colombia, right, on the Pacific coast, we have Nuquí. So I wanted to kind of do it with a map. So in case someone's not familiar with Colombia, you guys know what we're talking about. So Nuquí is actually on the Pacific coast of Colombia. So you can see it right there. About 2 years ago, I went to Nuquí. Well, actually not Nuquí directly, but I'm going to show you where I went. And I literally went on a huge adventure. My adventure was to go teach for 2 weeks in a very remote location. And I volunteered for 2 weeks, and I actually ended up going with my son. At the time, he was 14 years old. It was an adventure to say the least. So we arrived in Nuquí, and then we took a boat ride. Well, lancha, which is like not even a boat. It's just a little, yeah, a little speedboat. And we went for 45 minutes. We went down the coast, and we went to this little town called Termales. And we were there for 2 weeks. So in Termales, I was actually very surprised that they have such good resolution on this for Termales. This little strip that you see here, that's Termales. That's it. That's all it is. There's nothing else to see. Yeah, it's beautiful. I'm going to unmute you guys because I hate talking by myself. That way you guys can pitch in. So this one here, it's absolutely gorgeous. To tell you the truth, it's paradise. It really is. I was lucky enough to go volunteering through a company called Primed Community, which I'll leave some information about them, at the bottom, because I really think that it's a nice, they have very, very beautiful social projects. They give free English classes in the city. They do a lot of different things. So this is one of those projects. So I just wanted to first give you context of where it is that I went so you guys could see where I was. Now, I was staying in this little island over here. There's like a hotel at the top of the island, so that's where I was staying, and we would have to walk 15 minutes to be able to get to the town. Now, I wanted to tell you a little bit more about this because I wanted to share with you like what the experience was like. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm gonna share because I put together some pictures and everything so I could show you guys. Here we go. All right, perfect. So we're gonna take a look. Here we go. So here, you guys, can you see my screen? Yeah? Okay, perfect. So here you guys can see where it's literally paradise. Like these were the sunsets. This is like the panoramic view from the hotel at the bottom. There were animals and birds all over the place. It was beautiful. This is my son over here. We're just walking into Termales. So this is how it looks like when you're walking into the town. Now, oh, and we saw whales. Which is this picture here at the top. So we went whale watching. Yes, it was amazing. And then, so we have this whole experience. And while we're there, we're teaching to two types of communities. We were teaching to school kids, and we were teaching to adults. So what you guys see here is a picture of the school. This is the primary school from Termales. They have 2 classrooms and a cafeteria. And in those 2 classrooms and a cafeteria, they have 2 teachers, and those 2 teachers teach from 1st to 6th grade at the same time. So in one classroom, they have 1st, 2nd grade. In the other classroom, they have 3rd, 4th grade. And in the other classroom, they have 5th and 6th grade. And that's how they set up. But there's only 2 teachers. So they're rotating among the 3 groups. On break. Yeah, there's always a group that's not that doesn't have a teacher with them at any given moment. So what they did is they have the 3 rooms, and then this part over here is like it's a cafeteria, but they put a board so they could use it as another classroom. So that's like one of the first things that I saw in terms of education. So these teachers are superstars. Like if these teachers can teach there, no one can complain. Simple as that, right? some other challenges that we noticed. So when you're actually in town, so this is picture taken from the town, and this island over here is the picture is where we were staying. On our island, there is signal, like a cell phone service, but in the town, there's no cell phone service. So when you're in town, if someone wants to make a phone call, they have to walk 15 to 20 minutes to be able to get cell phone service. Yeah, to make a call.
Oh
That's it. Like even to send a text message. I'm not talking about Wi-Fi. So there is no Wi-Fi. I'm only talking about cell phone service. Right? And the other thing is during the day, we have no electricity. And during the night, they turn on electricity at certain times. So if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to remember.
Generators.
Yep, they have huge power generators, and they turn them on like around 4 or 5-ish. And then you have electricity until like 8, 9, or 10. I don't remember exactly the schedules. And then that's it. You have no you have no electricity for the rest of the day. So if you have a cell phone, that's the time to charge it. If you want to use anything electronic, that's the moment to do it, right? So this picture, that's me hiding in the dark. And here we have like those little solar powered lamps. That's what we used to use at night once the generator was off. So these are the conditions that we taught in for 2 weeks. So I wanted to start off the conversation of how we can teach remotely with little or no technology by sharing my experience on in this very remote location. So here we brought a lot of essentials. I covered the kids' faces for obvious reasons, right? We brought a lot of essentials like flashcards and photocopies for the lessons. Because it's such a humid location, you can't really take markers or anything plastic related because of the environment. So you have to take things that are reusable, that colors, paper, notebooks, things like that. So here we were just playing with the kids and teaching them. There's my son, he's reading to them in English. Here we are with the adults. So all of these people have something to do with tourism. So that's the classroom. So this is the cafeteria that I was telling you guys about earlier. So we were set up there, and across from us was the cafeteria. This is the actual classroom. So I was able to teach class to the kiddies and have that experience with them. You guys have no idea how amazing like that experience was. Like these kids, we would walk into the classroom and it would just be like,
feel their energy.
Yeah, like we want to learn, like tell us everything you know. Like it was like that kind of sensation, and it was just magic. And we had raised a lot of materials and things, like had a fundraiser. We had a lot of materials for them. So we gave them books, notebooks, books, and crayons. I gave out the crayons. The idea is that it was for them. And at the end of the class, they started collecting them to give them back to me. They're like, oh, no, here. And I'm like, no, they're for you, baby. And they're like, really? And they couldn't believe it. It was just like amazing to them. So it was one of those experiences. It's a reality check. It is because I'm like, I'll be honest. I used to give classes in Marymount where every student had a Mac.
No.
And that's the reality of where we live. So we have to recognize all these other spaces that exist in education in just our country. So that's not even talking about worldwide. So when we went through this experience, there were people who had really good English. So that was so cool. So I had them go in and teach for a little bit as well and kind of do their part. So I think the experience taught me a lot. This was a view from one of the hostels that we stayed at. But I think it taught me a lot to value the things that we have here, but to also not depend on them. Mm-hmm. Because I think at the end of the day, if a teacher depends just on their cell phone or just on a computer or then who's teaching? Is it the app or is it the teacher? Is it the computer or is it the teacher, right? So I really feel like we have to reevaluate all of these things in terms of teaching and see how we can really create an environment where teachers can be creative, where we can come up with solutions. And we all are creative. We just kind of need like the opportunity to do it. So, with this experience, I learned a lot about how to teach remotely, how to think on my feet and be very creative with it, because we had to. I mean, there was no way. So
that's full hands-on learning. You
want to know something? Yeah. We were there for 2 weeks. After the first week, like around day 7 or 8, the generators lost ACPM. There was no light. There was no electricity for 2 days.
No. And would you say you would do? Would you do it again? Like
would
you repeat the experience?
I would. It's hard though. Like when I got into it, did not know what I was getting into. Like, I can tell you that upfront.
Would you have signed on if you had?
I think I would, but I would go with like knowing what I was getting into. The thing is that what I felt was difficult, like if I had been there for like 5 days, it's a paradise vacation. We were there for 16 days. So by the end of like day 7, you start getting tired, right? Because you're not used to it, and you're not used to walking. So there, everything depends on the water. So for example, we were walking from here. Literally, the island, when the tide is high, you can't get off the island. So you have to wait until there's low tide. When there's low tide, then you can walk across the beach and get onto the beach. When you're walking, you see like this little part, this thing here. If there's high tide, this becomes a full-on river. So you can't cross.
Okay.
Yeah, so this walk we had to do every single day. And at night, we would have to do it in complete darkness because there's no light. So it was complete darkness. So I would definitely do it again. And I thought the people were just amazing. The kids were amazing. But now knowing what I'm getting into, I would definitely be able to stay there for the 2 weeks. But yeah, it was hard the first time just because I was not prepared at all for that experience. But at the same time, my son was 14 and it changed his life. Like his perspective
of life. It had a bigger impact on him than I think it did on you. On you, it's just the teaching. But for him, it was an enlightening experience. Look,
something as simple as this. They had like a little book with jokes in them, right? And we were with the kids, and we spent all the time with the people in the village. So by the end of the 2 weeks, we were literally calling them tío, tía, prima, venga. So we were family, right? By the end of the week. So when we would spend time with the kids, and they had this little book, and they were reading jokes. One of the jokes was about a video game. So Nikki like read the joke, and he's like laughing, and the 2 kids are like staring at him, and they didn't really get it. And then they said, well, what do you mean? Of course, they have never played with the video game before. So they didn't get the radar joke
completely.
They had no idea what the joke was about because they had no clue what a video game was. So it's things like this. Yeah, it's so, okay, so here, let me show you guys real quick. So when you go down the town, it's over here. So here, there's like a little road to the right. The school that I just showed you guys. Oh, sorry, I'm showing the wrong thing. There you go. Here, you guys can see the map now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the town, right? And when you go down like this road over here on the right, around here, that's where the school is. Like when the trees stop.
Oh.
So that's where the school is.
That little clearing in?
Yeah, in the little clearing. So this is the town. So it was a lovely experience, but yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy. I was very surprised. Look, they actually have where I'm teaching in the first little bit. So look at this. This is where I was teaching in that first picture. It's up here. So you have like the view, and it's gorgeous. The sunsets are simply amazing.
Is there anything to entertain? I mean, like, I don't know, a bar or it's just
this is a bar actually. So this is like a bar. You can get food. So this is, okay, so that's the place. Sorry, I skipped it real quick. So this is like, they're all hostels. So at the hostels, you can kind of hang out. They have little TVs. So usually people, wrap around the TVs at night to watch like movies or something on Caracol or RCN.
Even
but I think it's just a matter of like spending time with people, which I thought was so beautiful. Right? So anyway, after going through this whole experience, I was like, okay, I want to use this and kind of piggyback off this to what we're talking about today, which is what ideas can you share for remote teaching with little or no connectivity? So taking that experience that I had, we were able to come together with the team and with people that answered the survey with different solutions for this. So the first thing is they said, well, assign tasks by using different kinds of platforms such as Edmodo, Moodle, Google Classroom, etc. So this one, if they have some connectivity, it could work, right? But if they don't have any connectivity, they won't be able to connect, right? So we have to start like analyzing what the context really is. print and package print, different things. I didn't edit these. These are just from the survey. So print and package to deliver to students, collect from and grade and cycle lessons. So you print, package, send, you pick them up again, and you grade. So the actual process of it is very similar as if you were still giving face-to-face classes. The use of websites like Screencastify, Schoology, edX, and any app from Google Suite, since it allows the user to work offline. So that's something else that we came up with. A lot of people actually said similar things, where there are a lot of apps that would use technology but have offline capacities. So use those offline, things. So Kahoot, I think, also has the offline version. So you can make a game, send it to your student. Whenever he manages to connect, he gets the website, and then he can do it by himself offline. They can assign different games and activities that they can do on their own when connectivity is good, or activities they can do on paper. I think something with that I want to really emphasize is give options, because I think that there are going to be students, if I have 30 to 40 students in my classroom, there are going to be students that have good connectivity, and then there are going to be others that don't even have a device. So give options. Like, if you can do it online and you can use technology, go for it. If not, literally just do it and send me a picture of it, like on a piece of paper. But just give them as many options as you can. Create treasure hunts in their home. This one we mentioned in the WhatsApp community a few weeks ago, and I love it.
Scavenger hunts.
Yeah, those scavenger hunts in the house. So look for your favorite toy and take a picture. Look for this, that. So you can get them to do things in their own house. Surveys, Kahoots as challenges, role plays with their family, like interviews, right? If those are the people that are there. Isn't that cool? Like, even if the family doesn't know English.
I've been doing it with my daughter for school, because they're asking her to be kind of like a monitor for her English class. So she's like, Daddy, I need a dialogue. We need to do a dialogue. And she gives me everything. So she sets me up, she sits me on the sofa and everything, and then we get recorded, so she gets a kick out of it.
Oh, I love that.
She puts on her face, her interview face. What are you going to do tomorrow? She gets a kick out of it.
That is so cool. I love that. Okay, perfect. Now, what else do they have here? Oh, for little ones, so they have vocabulary reviews by drawing on paper, coloring according to instructions. You can also record the sessions and send the videos to your students so that they watch it whenever they can. So if they can't come to class, they shouldn't be penalized for it, right? So I think recording is a great option, because in that way they can watch it whenever they have connection, right? Then downloading offline games was another suggestion. So these are all the suggestions that we got from the survey. Now, I put a few that kind of summarize, because there were a few that were repeating a lot of the tools.
I have a person on the chat that wants to join but doesn't know how. So I'm going to pull her in directly. She's not going to go through them.
Go for it. Thanks for helping. Right. Thank you. All right. So up to there, these are the different ideas. Now, from our strategy and from our team we got together, and from the experience that I was telling you guys about, these are things that of course we can use when we have no connectivity in remote teaching, but these are ideas that can work in any context, really. Even if you have the latest technology, you can use these kinds of strategies to teach and kind of think outside of the box. So if students don't have internet access at all, so let's think of a small town. Okay, let's think of Nuki, Termales, the one that I just gave you guys. In the space like that, they don't even have computers. They all have cell phones, but they don't have computers. I think I only saw a few computers in town. So if they have computers available, you can still use the computer even if they don't have connectivity.
Exactly, but as a master computer.
Yeah, so you could even have just one computer in town, or you could have computers in the different houses. So one thing you can do is just save everything on a USB. Put everything on a USB, put all the activities. I would say include recorded instructions where they can see you. They can see a video of you explaining it to them, because it would make it a lot more engaging. Or if you don't want to appear, because I know not all of us like to be on camera, you can do an audio recording, right? Along with the written instructions. And you can have students save the activity on the same USB. So what you do is you leave it there, they do their activities, and then at the end of the week, or at the end of the 2 weeks, or the end of the lesson, you can just pick up the USBs and you have everything to grade. So that was like one idea that we came up with. The other one is sending text messages. So you can send text messages with the instructions for the tasks so students can complete on their own. That could be anything from using their notebooks or their textbooks to some of the activities that we saw earlier, like scavenger hunts around the house, right? So like, okay, find these objects, draw them, tell us about them, things like that. And the idea is just to keep using low resource media. So do you guys know what examples can you think of low resource medias? So there, it's everything where we don't need internet. There you go. Radio, TV.
I was about to say that. I saw an article on how they're getting across to remote areas in Peru.
There you
with sanitary instructions, the biosecurity instructions, and they said that they were going to be able to adapt the means of communication that they were using for preventive measures to be able to complement the educational system.
Yep. They're doing it here in Colombia as well. So they have a program right now that they're setting up for radio stations where they're teaching English 1 or 2 hours a day on the radio station. They have TV shows right now. They're educational programs. So teachers don't always have to develop their own things. Just find out what's out there.
That's something that I've always admired of the 50s and the 60s. That people used to sit in front of a radio and imagination took over.
Yep.
So for me, the nostalgic part of the radio and the creative aspect of it, for me, is like the romantic era of radio. Yeah. So I think that's a very enlightening situation for an old, off-the-shelf radio that nobody uses or nobody has used in years to be able to become a prime tool for education now.
Exactly. Awesome. So I think low resource medias can definitely be used. But again, we can go back to that idea of, is this only for people that don't have technology? No, I mean, if you know that there's a TV show out there, you can simply tell your students, you know what, go watch this show at this time, and then we're going to do an activity with that, and it's taking them to like their real life and their real context. So these are activities that we came up with where students don't have any access to internet at all. Now, the next one is where they have some access. So maybe brief moments. That means they can either connect, check an email, and that's about it, or go download something and that's about it. So there we could send emails with activities that they can complete and just send back whenever they have connectivity again. In this kind of situation, you could use an LMS. So if you have, for example, Google Classroom, then anytime they're connected, the app will tell you what's happening, what updates you have, what assignments you have. So that way, each time they connect, they can kind of see what's happening. Next, chunk activities. So what happens is, usually we're used to teaching a lesson that's 60 minutes long. Right? So if we have a lesson that's 60 minutes long and we try to transfer that to online teaching, it can't look the same. It can't feel the same as 60 minutes. You'll lose students if you have them sitting there for 60 minutes. So you have to do something to engage them before and after the lessons. So that's where chunking comes in. You take the lesson, you can break it down into smaller topics, and then you can take those topics and teach them before the lesson, like a flipped environment. You can teach them during the lesson, and you can do it after the lesson. And that way you start to spread out the activities so that students are constantly engaged, because here we don't have them there, right? So we need to keep them engaged even outside of the classroom. So chunking activities are great. Next, let's say that they have about 2 hours of stable connectivity a day, right? Here in these situations, then we can hold live sessions like video conferencing like we're doing right now, or Google Meet or Zooms or things like that. We could also assign collaborative activities for Google Drive, so students could work together at different moments of the day, but at least they have something where it's a shared and collaborative document. Or you could also assign brainstorming and collaborative activities like Padlet. Again, each one connects whenever they want, but we're getting a collaborative result out of what they're doing. Then students can have access to more than 2 hours a day. Here we can use activities in real time like we've used in our sessions like Pear Deck, Nearpod, or other similar platforms. And we could also assign self-paced activities from Pear Deck, Blend Space, and Nearpod. So here we have like a bunch of different options that we can do. Now we're talking about self-paced because now students can connect on their own time and be able to do the activities on their own. Yep, exactly. So
I was
sorry,
sorry to interrupt. I was thinking about an idea from the previous slide, like the one that you had. Let's say you just only have 2 hours of internet connectivity. Again, because I'm really pro for podcasts, I think it's also a good idea because it's like Rodrigo said. I mean, something that you can download. You can make your own show as an English teacher and say like, okay, you should listen to podcast number 2, 3, or about, I don't know, phrasal verbs. Then you can download it whenever you have connectivity or you are I don't know, close to a place where you can get some Wi-Fi. And then you can start it. I will leave the answers and the questions, or just the questions in the same radio, show. I mean, could be 30 minutes, could be 60 minutes, you choose. And then that would be also an option because, I mean, it's taking advantage of what you can download when you have connectivity. So maybe not just like visual papers or questions, but something that can put the imagination to work a little bit, because sometimes you have to concentrate so much of like understanding, like getting the picture of what the person is saying behind the microphone. So I think it would be also a good idea.
Nice. Okay, I really like that. And you actually made me think of something else that we could include, and it's WhatsApp. So we can also have, you can use WhatsApp as a tool, just like we use like text messaging to be able to teach full courses. I don't remember who it was, but I know of a teacher in our community that was teaching a full online, like a full course just using WhatsApp. So those are different things that we can do. All right. So
because WhatsApp right now has also the option that whenever you don't have connection, it sends this. I mean, you can record or send the message, and as soon as you get connection, then it sends the message. So you can kind of relax and saying, okay, I already sent it, but as soon as the other person receives it or something, then you're kind of, a little bit relaxed in that sense.
That's true. So you just kind of focus on doing the activity when you have time, and whenever you have connectivity, it'll send. I like that. All right. Very good. Very good. All right. Perfect. Thanks a lot, Alejo, for those ideas. So we're going to keep going here. So those are basically like the ideas. Now, the other side of this that we saw was, well, what if they don't have a device? So one thing is not having connectivity, but another thing is not having a device at all. Like, do I have a cell phone? Do I have a laptop? Do I have a computer? If I'm going to connect to the class, like, do I have a camera or a microphone, right? So these are the things that that we wanted to analyze as well. So this is where we came up with like local radio stations to offer students lessons at a specific time. They all have either a radio or a TV or something where they can tune in to different types of sources. The second one was assign activities from TV shows or radio shows or any other low resource media. You can print activities and just simply organize a distribution network for students to work independently. And you can create learning hubs. So this was an idea that I thought was interesting. And you can create a learning hub in your community where students can pass by, obviously keeping in mind safety considerations, pass by, pick up something, and drop them off. That way, everything is done in a physical location as well, but you're not actually studying there. Yeah, Alejo.
How crazy would it be? I know it's quite old. Not many people use it right now. I mean, I guess no one, but fax. Nobody used to use just like a phone line, I think so. And then you could like scan the document, send it, and receive it. I mean, I'm just talking of like really low resources that at least you have a phone line. I don't know.
But that's not bad, actually. You imagine you could send, like if you had like a learning hub or something and you had one, hi, Joan, how are you? You had one, how do you call that? Like, yeah, just like one worksheet or something that you want to send, you can fax it to people and then they could pick it up like at their local, I'm losing all my words now, their local stationery. So I like that. That's not actually that bad. I think it's not that crazy. I think the crazy thing would be to try to find one though. That would be the problem.
I know.
But if you find one, that would be a great solution because you can think about printing things out without having internet connection. I love that.
Much better to have options than none of them.
Yep. Agreed. Hi, Juliana. Hi, John. Welcome. All right, guys. So this is what I wanted to share with you guys. I wanted to share with you like my experience of being in Paradise, but then how that's also like changed my experience of teaching as a whole. And I think that in the times that we're at right now, I think we have to kind of focus on that, on how we can be creative, on how we can use these strategies and tools and not necessarily always have to depend on technology. If we have it, I mean, of course, we can take advantage of it and use it, but we can also be creative and think of other things that our students can do in times like these. And I think like activities like Rodri was saying earlier, like just engage with your family, look at things that you have in your house. It doesn't all have to be just watching a video or completing a game online. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. I don't know if anybody else has anything to add with how to teach remotely without using connectivity. No more ideas? All right, cool. All right, then I am done for today. Thank you guys for listening to my chit chat. Now Rodri's up. So Rodri wants to share with you guys Schoology. So the idea is that always we're going to be like answering a question in the beginning of the chat, and then the second we'll explore one of the tools. So Rodri, you're up.
All right, I'm going to share my screen for a minute. And I'll talk you guys through this. All right, what we're going to do today is I want to show you how Schoology can work for you in any of the situations that Tatiana was mentioning before, from anywhere from remote to actually online, because what I'm going to be showing you is the level of engagement depending on the level of connectivity the students have. So I took the liberty of creating a course on Schoology. It's for free. So you guys can just log on, create your own profile. It's gonna ask you for a school. I mean, if you're not gonna be working for a school account, so just go in on your own with your own email and you can create courses. I'm gonna just show you real quick how you can create a course. You go to My Courses. Hold on, let me get this out of the way. You can go to My Courses whenever you just log on, just fresh start, and it says create a course. So you just put in 3 pieces of information: the course name, the section, which would be maybe the secondary name, if it's basic, if it's intermediate, language arts or any others if you want, and an academic level. And I'll show you what we have now. I have one, it's called an English demo. And top tips. This is kind of like an academic Facebook, okay? I'm very keen on putting little keywords next to it. Why Facebook? Because it's got a wall. Meaning that if I go to update, it tells me exactly what everyone said, posted. It keeps everything up on top. So for example, look, welcome to our ELT Think Lounge session. Today we're going to explore the LMS. This I put in the day I created it. So that's my welcoming. I can set up anything I want. And anything means anything. This is my class 1. This is my class 2. This is all created under one menu. This is the best part. Everything you need to create the course is under one simple menu. You can add a folder, an assignment, a quiz, an assessment. I have each one of these created out on one of my folders. For example, this is what class 1 would look like, right? So if I go into class 1, look at the menu you're getting now. And if I go into class 1, I have everything already set up. I have an audio loaded. I have a video loaded. I have a grammar explanation. I have a document for you to download, and I have a forum for us to participate in. What makes this cool is that there is an option that's called student completion, meaning they have to go through each one of the exercises to be able to get to the next. So for example, you can see under each one, this one, the student must view. This one, the student must view, right? So at least just to click on to visualize is good enough for the platform to say, all right, the student took a look at it. And this goes for the simple tools. I'm going to go, look, this is a simple audio. This is a simple video, and they're in ready playing. So you can play them inside the platform, meaning you don't have to go to YouTube or redirect them to YouTube. You can play them on site. So this is pretty cool. You have a document function, which just simply shows a document version of whatever you want to do. I mean, if you have a little text load you want them to look at, right? And you never leave the platform. This is what I like about it, because almost 90% of the activities you can do on Schoology, you can do on Schoology. So you can do them directly on the platform. The forums you can set up any which way you want. The text like I said, is very flexible. So you can actually put them in here to participate, like if it were a video forum, depending on the instructions you give in a forum. All right.
Okay, so Juliana's telling us here in the chat as well that she's been using it for a while and that she says it's great, so she agrees with you. And she says that students can actually download the app and they get notified as soon as you post something new. So it's similar to Google Classroom in that sense. I like that. Cool.
Yep. You can have multiple courses, you can have multiple levels. It's really cool, really basic for simple users, but it can become a very complex tool if you want to take it to the next level.
Do you
I'll
have
show
to
you
pay
class
for
2.
upgrades or like, I mean, any membership or something? Or
I've gone into the pricing, and the free version covers all basic necessities. And when you're using a paid version, it just means that the school is covering your account and will be assigning learning objectives. This is so you can have teachers teach but not program, teachers teach but not configure. So this would be like, Alejandro, this is your course and it was already set. So you just work the course, but you don't design the course. That means it's for an academic structure. I'll show you in a minute. Look, for example, I have a Zoom session laid in, meaning this is the way that if you're going to use full connectivity, you're going to have your Zoom sessions already set aside.
Oh, wow. Okay, nice.
Look at it, it's in a window.
It's kind of similar.
It's embedded.
Similar to Moodle, right? The Moodle platform.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, Suli. Yeah.
Exactly. No, this is the competition of Moodle. The thing is that this was designed initially for K-12, and it just got bigger and bigger. And with the free versions, it became very plastic to all other teachers. So it became a platform that got out of hand. So if you want the paid version, it's a school account version, and the free version rocks, to tell you the truth. I think
it also seems a bit more straightforward than using Moodle, though, because I think
in
Moodle
because
you
it
do
doesn't
need
have the coding side. It doesn't have the development. Look, you can have exercises embedded in images.
That's us.
So, for example, you can run through the images, and you have the option to caption, so you can actually teach through image. You can teach through video, right? And you can have them comment. So actually, the exercises can go beyond the only thing I've seen that doesn't really configure that I would love to get into deeper would be the Gradebook, because it has a little setup that is a little more complicated than normal, but because it's set for a K-12 system, it has a rubric. You can scale it, you can use rubrics, but you'd have to set everything up from the beginning. So it has a full Gradebook to come back on. That's like the most complex part. It has a badge system, which I like.
Oh, I like badges.
Motivation.
If you have your students, exactly. So if you have all your students, they're going to be here on the left, and you can assign badges everywhere. You can keep your attendance. So it's actually cool. I mean, if you have that online, so if you set up your calendar correctly, you can just check on the person's name. It has the present, absent, late, and excused. You can check all the members because it's constantly here. You can make another teacher. You can co-teach. That's another feature I like. You can immediately co-teach from administration. So another teacher can just take on the administrative role, and you can both work the group together. Let me go back to materials. And in class 2, for example, I assigned an assignment. All the other completion activities was view. Now we have something called a submission when they take a test. I'll show you what a test preview looks like. It's really easy to set up. You've got multiple choice, true, false, matching, ordering, fill in text, and short essays. They're really clean, clear instructions because they won't let you save unless it's configured properly. So you get to see simple test systems. I mean, this is as creative as we can get. I mean, we can use video in them. We can use audio in them. So as you can see, you move pretty seamlessly. It's easier than a typical quiz on say yes, say yes. And different types of exercises meet different types of needs. I mean, I didn't want to go through all the different types of exercises because I know there are teachers that are more creative than I on this. I just love the tech side of it. So let me see if I can get out of here right now.
I like it because it's quite straightforward and like user friendly. It's not too complicated with menus and then to do these things.
It is, and
this is like overwhelming. No, this one is quite easy. It looks like.
Look, I can
it's
hide
easy
this.
On the
this
eyes.
is you can. I pulled some 5 top tips to be able to understand a way to organize courses because I've seen some really wicked courses and very confusing courses here on Schoology, as well as I've seen week 1, class 1, part 1, exercise 1, like everything detailed and everything in sequence. So you don't have to actually hide things. You can hide them because you can unpublish, but if you've sequenced everything out, the student will not be able to do things in disorder. So top tips for working on Schoology would be maybe content organization. Personally, think folders. This is cool because this way it just keeps them wrapped up and they know how many folders or how many classes from the start. Keeping consistent and clear naming conventions. I had this next of purpose of activity, purpose of resource, so they know what to do with it. It's listen and speak, or listen and opinion, or, whatever you do, use a Bloom taxonomy. I've always recommended it. Use a Bloom taxonomy verb to be able to get straight to the point. So you use the transitional verbs when you go from low to high in thinking.
Yeah, lower order thinking skills and higher order thinking skills.
So that's kind of it. I've had a little bit of everything here. It was just a small walkthrough. It's got an app, and that's where it kind of falls short because when you're in the app mode as a teacher, you can only view. There is no editing on the app mode.
Can you grade from the app mode?
Yes, if you had the gradebook set up properly.
Okay, cool.
But when it's just a simple assignment, you can. The problem is that when they see their gradebook and the gradebook is not set up properly, they can see one grade graded properly, but when they go to the full statistics, it's confusing. Because like I said, it's a K-12, it's based on 100, it's based on an A to F system. So we have to work around the conventions and, work through the configuration in the number grading system.
Got it. Yeah, because I'm just curious, because we always talk about connectivity of students, but we rarely talk about connectivity of teachers and devices of teachers. Mm-hmm. So there are probably cases of teachers that don't have a laptop at home and they have to go to a cyber cafe to be able to connect, do something, and then be able to go home and check. So if they can grade from their phones, that would be something cool to have set up, or at least give feedback,
they can and they can interact with all the basic functions. That's why I said the only thing that I've seen complex about it, and I've taken the time to do it, is the gradebook setup.
Okay.
Once you get past that, you can do anything and everything on both platforms except edit content on the app. The rest can be done. In students mode, it's perfect. Flawless. Okay. One more thing. That's the front end. Now I want to show you the back end.
He gets so excited. Do you see his face? Because he's such a geek. He's like, I want to show you the back end.
This is cool because this is what you do when you want to plan out the exercises and everything. But what we do is, okay, how many of us have a Google Drive full of things, OneDrive full of things? We use Khan Academy. We use a lot of YouTube videos. And how to pull that into this becomes a little complex. Well, it actually doesn't. There is a specific resource center where you enable the tools you want to use. So you've got your own personal. This is what I'm talking about when we were talking about the learning objectives you can pull from the K-12 system in the States. But there's an apps chapter. So you can link your Dropbox. You can link your Google Drive. You can link your Khan Academy. You can link your OneDrive, Vimeo, and YouTube. And you can install others, which I have not done yet because I have not needed it.
Could you go to install apps just to see like what options they give you? I'm curious.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so I love Evernote.
That's all for now.
Nice.
So let's say that you want to use a video in your courses. So you go to your course, for example, and you can search for example, the video I inserted, I used, I was in class 1. The video I inserted, I used the YouTube search engine they have embedded inside the Schoology. So I can add a resource from resources, or I can import from my resources. So I could have done this from another course, and all I do is save up to my own cloud inside the Schoology platform and just pull from there. So let's say if I was going to pull a resource from resources, which are mine, which I have previously uploaded, and something's wrong with the connection. Here we go. So I can go into my ELT demo, and I have all the videos I uploaded previously. So for this class, I just want to use one. And I imported it from my resources. So I have a resource bank I can use. All right, and here it is. Once you click on it, this only takes one conversion, and that's it. You're good to go.
Nice.
Great.
It does. I agree with Alejo. It seems very straightforward.
It's simple to use. I mean, it doesn't demerit our own resources. So it actually combines all the resources we use. So it's really, really practical.
What about connectivity? Does it require full connectivity, or you can?
No, not at
like
all. This is
no?
another system similar to Moodle.
Also for the
So once the
application
teacher sets up, this is what getting to know your students' connectivity teaches you. So it depends on you knowing how well they're going to be able to connect is your ability to design your activities. That's why you have two options. I can throw all of this on here without the completion, and the student wouldn't know if the audio, if this. So I would have, for example, just a simple page discussion as an intro. And this is the cool part. It's always in edit mode. So let's say that you're organizing and you just want to tell them what to do. So the instructions are here and the resources are below. This is a drag and drop system. So what I do is I take, right, and I want to move it. Where do I want to move it to? You want to keep it in class 1, class 2? No. And let's say you can take the instructions and just pull it up.
Nice.
It's always in edit mode. So it's not about, oh, I need to move this. No, it's there. So there it is. So you can make your instructions clear. They're going to read them on here. Then they have the resources, or you can embed the resources in one page, one after the other.
Rodri, could you show us how you set up so that like they couldn't do the next activity until they finished how did you set that up?
It's called student completion.
Okay.
So I have a set of rules. So let's say I'm going to erase them all that I've had set previously. There you go.
Oh, okay, okay.
So check this out. So all you do is add the requirements. You can take them all out. So for the instructions, for example, and here you're going to have all the menus, all the items, excuse me, the activities or the content that you've set up. So for instructions,
created already, yeah.
I need the student must view. Good. For the grammar explanation, I need the student must view. When I get to,
does it have another option different than view?
Yeah,
the
but the
item?
thing is, I don't have any on this on this class.
Oh, okay, yeah, like completing the task.
Exactly.
I imagine. Like
so I'm
the
going to go to
quiz.
class
Okay,
2 because that's where the other completion task comes into play. For example, now I'm going to show you for the Zoom session. So I'm going to add a requirement for the Zoom session. They must view. I'm going to add another one for the trial. This trial was an assessment or a quiz. So they must what? Make a submission or score at least. If I say score at least, they have to get 75 out of 100.
Oh.
So it's going to go into unlimited loop until they get it, right? So that's actually pretty cool. Then if I want the assignment, they have to make a submission. So now I have the 3 conditions. They have to view this, they have to take this, they have to view this, and they have to make a submission.
But just a question, are you sure? Because when you put the options again as student, I saw like a little box on top of it, the right corner, that it says, do it like, you know, in complete order or something. Requirements in sequential order.
Exactly. If I have them in this order, that's the sequence.
So if you don't check that box at the top, they have to complete the activities, but it doesn't matter what order they do it in.
Exactly.
Got it.
If I don't check that box, if I do check that box, I have a sequence. That means I have to do this, then this, then
after this. Yeah.
So it becomes a requirement and a sequenced requirement. So
nice, lovely. Does anybody else have any questions about it? so
No,
we
but
can
it
fuck
saves a
Rodri.
lot of time. I
No,
mean,
no. There's a little. I mean, there's really cool features, but I mean, you have to dig
Yeah,
in.
it's
You got to
more.
read. This is the external tools that I was telling you about, but I have not done this because it's a
That looks
shared secret kind of
confusing.
thing. No, the thing is, these are paid resources. This is like
Ah,
oh,
okay.
if
okay.
you had an Educa Play official, if you had have your own uh, material
Yeah, like a
developed
paid
from
account on some
a paid
So
platform.
account
basically,
on some SCORM, on some
Got
other
it.
so
platforms.
basically you can run a full course just with the
I've
trial
Yeah.
from
done
the
it.
free version.
I've done it. I've done it
Perfect.
from the free
Perfect.
version. Look, I've done something that I just needed for tests. So, for example, I needed
Right.
to quiz during this quarantine. I was doing a face-to-face course, and it turned into an online course, and then it turned into a very tedious online course, and I had to test them. So I just made up small quizzes. So look, this is the way we get the results. I can view the students' attempts. I can go into the attempts if I want to, and I can see where they made mistakes. Look, this is pretty cool.
Nice. I like that.
This
Very
is the
nice.
feedback version from the student and from the teacher's version. So I can enable them. I can make comments, as you can see. And the exercises are pretty simple to set up.
Very cool.
All right. And this was just a quiz that I wanted to do for a specific session. So this wasn't a full course. I was laying this one out, for example, to mock up a course. This is a mock-up course with the contents of the introduction in week 1, day 1. So in that order, look, I have all my documents. I have everything labeled accordingly.
Nice.
I have a forum, and this would just be lacking the sequence and the completion stages, but this is all the information. The cool thing about it
Hmm.
is it's always compatible with almost every document I've thrown at it. It has an embedded version for PDFs, which I personally like. See, I do not have to download. I do not, so I can
Yeah.
download if I
I
want
like
Perfect.
to,
that.
but if not, I have a viewer. So hold on, it went straight
I
to,
like that a lot because you may not think it, but some people may open a PDF file and don't have the Acrobat
Yes.
downloaded to be able to open
Yes,
the
that's
PDF
true.
file, and they don't know which program it is that they have to download to open it. So I think that's a really good option, that
here it
it's
is.
just all
Yeah.
there.
Okay.
And you can also download the PDF, of course,
You
if
can
you don't
also
have a
download it, but you
program.
can
But
view it on screen. So it's
Nice,
actually
nice,
embedded. So
nice.
I like the fact that they've tried to keep it as on platform as possible. They've put everything out there. Like, don't worry, it's still a PDF file. It's not mine. It's still in visual, but I can hide. All I have to do is unpublish, and that's it. So I can
Very
have my
cool.
resources. So, I mean, if you're tech savvy or just simple, methodical, and planning, it's simple. I mean, I've loved
indeed.
it,
Very
and
cool.
I've set up complex systems on it as well as simple, like I said, simple quizzes on it. You can create groups for peer development. So, like let's say, for example, I would create a group called ELT Think Tank here, and I would create. Look, it has no privacy. Anyone can join. I have a custom privacy. I invite only. So, Tati, for example, you and I can create the ELT Think Tank on Schoology, and we would have our own think tank. So it
Like
would
an
be
admin,
specific,
yeah. Nice, nice,
and
nice.
we
I
can
like that.
develop and everything.
I have to start playing around with it a little bit. That is so cool, Rolity. Thank you so much for sharing it with us
My pleasure. I mean, if you have
and
any
for putting
questions,
it together.
I'm on the
It looks
platform.
so cool. All right. So before we leave, I just wanted to tell you guys I really liked having you all here today.